Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's your number one chief Rocket Knicks Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezy, just coming through for a little segment, man. Uncle Freezy has a thought. Just want to chop it up with you guys. Tell you what's been on my mind and go over a few topics here. If I can get the screen right. If I can get this screen right. There we there we are. There we are. What's good, everybody? Daniel Barry Sports Highlights is in the building. Michelle Wilder in the building. Salute. Salute. Um, just gonna talk about a few topics, man. There's gonna be um talk about a few things that I've seen through the first 30 games and um try to put some positive vibes in the air about this team that we all love. Salute to everybody watching us on YouTube. Salute to everybody watching us on X or wherever you get Lawrence Tears content, man. Salute to y'all. Glad y'all here. Killer B in the building. Salute. Salute. Yo, Greg Hamilton in the building. Salute. Hey, salute to all the members showing up. Salute to my members. Man, salute to the members, man. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, man. Salute y'all. Let's start off with this. So I'm going to start off with this, everybody. Just going to say, I'm just moving some things around here because I have some notes and just want to stay on track a little bit. Tori B in the building. Salute. Happy holidays. So want to start off with just some observations, right? Miguel P in the building. Salute. So here's one observation, right? In my opinion, the Knicks front office and the coaching staff are absolutely on the right page, on the same page, right? I think that the coaching staff and the coaching staff are absolutely on the right page. They have this thing called synergy, right? I think they're thinking the same thing. I think they're processing the same thing. I think they know that there is a few ways for this team to win a championship, and they're all in lockstep with each other. And it's the reason why Mike Brown, as opposed to Tom Thibodeau or the ex-Memphis Taylor Jenkins, are not here. They needed a person that's going to be in lockstep with them all along the way. Allah Wise is in the building. Salute. Kerry Cox, the son of the legend, is in the building. Salute. It appears, without a shadow of a doubt, that the front office and the coaching staff are in what they call lockstep. Now, does that mean they won't make mistakes along the way? No. They will make mistakes along the way. But here's the thing. Understanding what those mistakes are and fixing those mistakes while being on the same page is easier than encountering a mistake and then multiple sides are pointing the finger at each other, pointing out a mistake instead of trying to correct the mistake. Right? And so I'm going to give some examples. I'm going to give some examples of for one, how I know or how or the reason why I'm confident that they are in lockstep. and two, how I'm confident that when they encounter mistakes, they recognize those mistakes together and stay on the same page about mistakes that may or may not have been made, right? And fix those mistakes. All right. So clearly, the Knicks knew that backup point guard was a blind spot for the Knicks for years, right? Clearly, they knew backup point guard was a blind spot for the Knicks for years, right? Justo in the building. Wiz, what's good? I see you. Clearly, they understand that the point guard position needed help. Leon Rose knew this since day one. When Leon Rose took the job, JJ in the building. JJ, I'm going to start doing Mets content this weekend, baby boy. JJ in the building. JJ, I'm going to start doing Mets content this weekend. This weekend, I'm going to start doing Mets content. Right? So, and y'all keep an eye out for that, man. I'm going to do some Mets content. But to the point, though, to the main point I was just speaking about, when Leon Rose took over as the team president, right? When Leon Rose took over as the team president, he knew guard play was an issue for this team, and it had been for years, right? He knew that, right? One of the things that I believe Leon Rose was tasked with was not only shoring up the point guard position, but also bringing in a star, right? Bringing in a star, right? Is that easy to do? No. Are either easy to do? No. One of the first things that Leon Rose did, and not to do a history lesson, because I'm going to get to a point about about the coaching staff and the front office being on the same page, right? One of the first things Leon Rose did was try a bunch of guards to see if he could find one off the scrap heap, right? Didn't work. You bring in Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's a megastar. So the starting point guard position is locked up for the foreseeable future. The contract may say a certain years. We know Jalen Brunson is going to be here long. Jalen Brunson's tenure is going to outpace any contract that he signs. Right? This is what we're confident in as Knicks fans. We know Jalen Brunson's tenure as a Knick is going to outpace whatever contract he signs. Jalen Brunson to be a Knick until he either cannot play any longer or he retires. That's just what it is. The second part of that, though, which may seem like the easier part, but is probably the harder part, is to find a consistent companion backup guard to play with Jalen Brunson. That's the difficult part. The difficult part. And I see y'all in the chat talking about Clarkson on the wing. I was discussing that the other night. Remember who talked to y'all about that, right? What's going to happen when Tyler Kolek makes himself too valuable to sit? Yeah, remember that? Remember us having the conversation? The Mike Brown problem? Y'all got to listen to your man, Uncle Freezy. Uncle Freezy knows what he's talking about sometimes, right? All right, so but back on track, right? The issue had been over the years, who can we bring in to be the backup point guard that doesn't have an ego about being a franchise point guard one day, at the same time, can play with Jalen Brunson and complement Jalen Brunson, meanwhile also getting others involved. Right? That's what this whole thing, like, the backup point guard has to be Jalen Brunson's understudy and backup, has to be at times his running mate, and also at time has to be the guy that runs the team for stretches. Right? Leon Rose knew this and knows this. It's the reason why, in my belief, they brought in Malcolm Brogdon to training camp. Right? But here's the sweet part of it. Here's the sweet part of it. And y'all, yes, Tori B is right. Right? Uncle Freezy knows socks, right? I just got over the weekend, or not even over the weekend. This week I probably bought 7 to 8 pair of socks. Right? No, well, some were gifted though. Mets is in the building. Salute. Kev Guapo. Nick Yak is in the building. So here's the thing about how we know they're on the same page. My belief is that the front office knew that this version of Tyler Kolek was actually this version of Tyler Kolek, but he needed time. Right? The front office believes that Tyler Kolek, Mo Diawara, Pakam Dadier, Ariel Hukporti are legitimate NBA rotational players right now, but need a few games to get into a rhythm. Malcolm Brogdon, in my opinion, and this is my new opinion and not my opinion at first. Now, remember, this is after seeing what the front office and coaching staff have done. This is what I believe. My belief is that they always had faith that Tyler Kolek was going to be this. They trusted a process that they put in place. Right? They put a process in place. They trusted it. But how do you get from point A to point B without ruining your product? Well, how you get to point A from point B without ruining your product is by bringing in bridge players. Right? That's what it is. Malcolm Brogdon was brought here to be a bridge player to get to Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek needed some time, needed some seasoning. He wasn't ready, but we knew, or the Knicks knew, he would be ready eventually this season. But how do you get to Tyler Kolek without destroying your season or without destroying the kid? You bring in a bridge. And that's what Malcolm Brogdon was brought here to do. Be a bridge. Did Malcolm Brogdon like that as a, like, hey, we're going to bring you in. You're going to be the backup, but this kid, Tyler Kolek, is going to be the future. Did Michael Brogdon like that verbiage? He may have said, dog, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity, but I would rather retire before I be a bridge to someone else and sit the bench. That's what he chose to do. That's what he chose to do. Right? Prezi in the building. David Smith is in the building. Salute, y'all. Randu, what's good? That didn't work out quite like we thought. Injuries kind of forced the Knicks' hands. Malcolm Brogdon retired. Yo, Cowboy Bob in the building. Malcolm Brogdon retires. And Deuce McBride gets hurt And now Tyler Kolek has to play a little bit earlier than expected. But surprise, Tyler Kolek had been doing some work on his own and developing on his own. So the bridge, in theory, was necessary, but it wasn't a long bridge. It was a short bridge. And now here we are with Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek is a very important piece to this Knicks championship, right? And not just the, a guy that's going to fill in the gap. No, he's not that. Tyler Kolek is a future piece of this Knicks championship run. And how we know is the Knicks had love at first sight. They gave a second-round pick, the biggest second-round pick contract ever, and locked him up for 4 years. So you're getting this, and you have 2.5 more years of this before you even have to talk contract with Tyler Kolek. But before this, the backup point guard situation was year to year. Who's going to be the backup point guard this year? Who's going to be the backup point guard this year? Who's going to be the backup point guard this year? Who's going to be the backup point guard this year? That was the conversation every year for the Knicks. Now that is solved and resolved. That is solved and resolved. Right? But here's the thing. The front office and coaching staff have symmetry and chemistry, but not just about that. You notice the bridge theory didn't apply just to Tyler Kolek. It also appears to apply to Pakham Dadier and Mo Diawara, whichever one you want to say first. Diawara first, Dadier second, Dadier first, Diawara second. Whatever you want to say, however you want to do it, right? You bring in Gershon Yabusele to be a bridge player, right? He's being paid handsomely for what he's accomplished in the NBA, right? He's being paid handsomely. He was a guy with limited NBA experience that, had sort of a breakout. Not a major breakout, sort of a breakout with Philadelphia, who was tanking last year, right? Philadelphia was tanking last year. They had a lot of injuries. You can't blame them for taking a route that they took because they had a lot of stars missing a lot of games, right? They had a lot of stars missing a lot of games. So instead of trying to make the playoffs and miss the play-in and be in no man's land, they decided to tank, for the lack of a better term. They decided to tank, right? It's not an unfamiliar thing to Philadelphia. They're probably the best at it or the worst at it, depending on how you view their strategy versus their championship level success. They may be the best at it or the worst at it. They're the best at it because they get the draft picks they want, but then on draft day, they don't always choose the right guy. So the strategy for them makes sense. They execute that part well, but the other stuff, they don't execute well, right? Here's the thing. Gershon Yabusele was a bridge player. We didn't know that at the time. We thought he'd be a key contributor. And he has been, for the most part. He's been a key contributor to the Knicks. But he was the bridge to Mo Diawara and Pakham Dadier. I think he was more so the bridge to Dadier, who's a second-year player. But we all know the best laid plans don't always work the way you intended, right? So he may have been the bridge to Dadier, and then Mo Diawara shows up and shows out. So now you have to add Diawara to the conversation. So he's not just the bridge to Pakham Dadier anymore. He's the bridge to Diawara. who may have surpassed Pacom Dadier and Gershon Yabusele. Right? He may have been the bridge to both. But the thing is, if we're having this conversation here and we are recognizing the results, right? And not recognizing the results, that absolutely means that the Knicks front office and coaching staff had a plan from the giddy up. The Knicks front office had a plan before they hired Mike Brown. Mike Brown is an excellent X's and O's guy, an excellent motivator, an excellent personable coach. And so he fits right into what the front office wants to do. Right? And full disclosure, I like Gershon Yabusele a lot. I do. I personally hope he sticks around. I personally hope that the trades, all whatever rumor, innuendo, blah blah blah, is just that, and nothing that the Knicks are looking at in house. I would like for Gershon Yabusele to be here. It's just my personal opinion, right? Because when you're being a bridge player doesn't mean you're an outcast. Ask Taj Gibson. You can be a bridge player and a fan favorite at the same time. Ask Derrick Rose. You can be a bridge player, a contributor, and a fan favorite all at the same time. You don't have to be an outcast. Taj Gibson is the example. Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson, Mitchell Robinson. Nerlens Noel is in this thing. Mitchell Robinson is the raw, super talented long-term answer. And Taj Gibson is the bridge between those two. Right? It just tells me that the Knicks front office is not just sitting around waiting for the home run scenario. It tells me that the Knicks front office has a plan. The development department is helping. The coaching staff is helping. Everyone is on the same page. One of the other things that I want to talk to you guys about, it's been a dirty word around the NBA, and I want this word to be less dirty. Right? So the dirty word that I'm talking about is load management. The dirty word I'm talking about is load management. And this dirty word of load management needs to be less dirty in a sense, because you can be tough and you can gut it out, and you can miss certain games, right? I'm sorry, you can win certain games, right? Like you can blow out the Washington Wizards by 40, the Charlotte Hornets by 30, and then show up to a game against the Orlando Magic fatigued and tired and lose. So you win 2 out of 3, right? You win 2 out of 3. Or you can play the Washington Wizards. You can load manage against Charlotte, and you may win or lose. And then you can play the Orlando Magic healthy and beat the Orlando Magic. You still won 2 out of 3 games. The reason why I think load management needs to be less of a dirty word The reason why I think load management needs to be less of a dirty word is we need to start thinking about the term end game. Instead of load management, what is the end game? Right? Can we load manage Jalen Brunson end game? Or I'm sorry, because it sounds like a double, not a double entendre, but it sounds like two terms that are similar. So end game management is a term, and end game as what is your ultimate decision or what is your ultimate challenge? The two things separate. Right? So the load management thing, I think, can be handled in game. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not going to say that they deserve to play less minutes, right? But what I will say is in low leverage moments, play your reserves. In low leverage moments, play your reserves, right? Get these guys off of their feet. Right? I'm not going to say there are some games where the guys, the core guys need to not play 40 minutes. There are some games, we want Jalen Brunson to play 40 minutes. There are some games it's going to be that. Some games we're going to need OG, Bridges, Cat, Brunson to play 40 minutes. And then there are some games where we probably need is that Docosaurus Rex is in the building? Salute. Then there are going to be games, low leverage games, where these guys should be playing 20 minutes. The Charlotte game around Thanksgiving, those guys should have played 18 to 20 minutes. Charlotte was so packed in, Charlotte was so packed in, they were like, didn't even want to put it. I think it was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or something like that. Those guys were laying down so hard. You could play guys 18 to 20 minutes, man. Go out, be serious, put the foot on them, and then let the young guys play. You can load manage in game that way. That's simple, right? Right. But then load management also is some of these games back to back. I'm not going to lie to you. In my opinion, if there is a back to back scenario, I'm sitting everyone. Right. Like, for instance, if the Knicks play tomorrow, right? Saturday. If the Knicks play Monday and Tuesday, I might sit all the core guys Monday and Tuesday. And that sounds crazy, right? But in theory, you're giving these guys 5 or 6 actual NBA days off, or actual 5 or 6 real world days off. You know, so and the thought on that is like, hey, these guys don't need 5 or 6 days off, man. Let them play one and sit the other. No, just sit them both games. Why? I mean, what's the point? What's the point if you're playing back to back games, right? If you're playing back to back games, right? If you're going to play back to back games, the first game of that back to back, you're going to stress these guys so hard that it's going to turn into a high leverage situation, feel like a playoff game, because they know the next day they're going to be sitting. So you're getting max energy from them guys out of one game instead of spreading that energy over 2 games. So in my theory, you're going to use the same amount or close to it in one game versus using that same energy in 2 games. So instead of doing that, sit them for both games. Just food for thought. Something to think about. I'm thinking about now that we're at this place, I'm thinking about the dirty word of load management because I have eyes on June. Right? Because I have eyes on June. Now, I didn't have eyes on June back in October because we had a new coach, some new personnel, and we had to see how this team was going to perform, how this team was going to break out of the box. We're coming towards the end of 2025. We're getting closer to the end of 2025. So now you can start thinking about June a little bit. Right? You can start thinking about the end of June. Thinking about June now, seeing that there are 52 games left in your schedule. I don't know how many back-to-backs are left on the calendar. I didn't count them up. Right? I didn't count them up. Right? But load management should not be a dirty word starting January. Right? It shouldn't be a dirty word come January. Right? It's just food for the thing is, do you want to be a healthy now? Load management doesn't guarantee health, everybody. That's the other part of it. Load management doesn't guarantee health. But in the case where we have a newfound faith in Tyler Kolek and Mo Diawara, while Mo Diawara may not be an impactful starter, yet. That day soon come. We know that. We know Mo Diawara is going to be a quality, high-level rotation baseline starter someday. We don't know if that day is going to be in March or 2 Marches from now. We don't know. But load management shouldn't be a dirty word, right? What should be a dirty term is the Knicks have been eliminated from the playoffs. That should be a dirty term. That should be a dirty term. And the New York Knicks have been eliminated from the playoffs. That should be a term that we regret and look at as dirty and not load management. And with that said, I do understand load management does not guarantee health. Nothing guarantees health. But players do tend to get fatigue injuries. Players do tend to get fatigue injuries. I'm gonna move on to another thought I had to just as I watched the game yesterday. There are a few things that I saw that just came back to the forefront of my mind. The depth of this team is probably better than what we think. The depth on this team is probably better than what we think. Right. There are times when I think there are times where I think as a fan base, we should make a major move because we feel like we're insufficient in a place. Right? There are times. Ribs is in the building. Salute. I think that's Ribs. Ribs in the building. Salute. Drip Mall is in the building. Salute. I know there are times where we feel like there needs to be a move made immediately because we feel like we don't have the depth at a position. And while at times it may be accurate in a moment, it's not accurate for the long term. Right? I know one of the prevailing thoughts is that the Knicks need a power forward. I just personally, I don't know. I just can't see. I personally can't wrap my mind around it. Musa in the building. Salute. I don't see in Mike Brown's system where there is where two bigs are at the rim. I don't see teams really doing that. It may be in label. I'm not sure. What I do know though is guys that are 6'9" are either small ball fives or jumbo wing players switchable out on the perimeter. Now, here's the thing. If the Knicks had one and that player was successful, I'm sure we would all see it differently. Right? I'm sure they would all see it differently. East Blue Drew, I see you. He says Ariel and Jemison watching Cat and Mitch. I thought Alex Lynn was the bridge player that they were bringing in at center for Huck Porty. Yeah, I remember when Alex Lynn was in camp. I thought Alex Lynn was going to be that bridge player, like a been there, done that veteran big that's been through all the battles and could play or could not play or whatever. And I thought that's who Alex Lynn was going to be. Come to find it, he didn't. He didn't make it. He didn't make it. But the depth on the team, though, I don't think is in question. This team looks to be just Knicks is in the building. This team looks to be maybe as deep as it's ever been. And I know that's a conversation we have every year. But this point in the season, I think we're comfortable saying this team is as deep as it's ever been. You have young guys itching for minutes. You have veterans in their prime years. You have vets that are coming in and being vets. And then you have project players like Dink Pate that may deserve a roster spot. You have players like Kev McCullough and Dink Pate that should probably be on the roster but can't. And I know a lot of you guys aren't Dink Pate fans or Kev McCullough fans. A lot of that has to be out of sight, out of mind type thing. And I'm here to say those guys deserve to be in a NBA development environment as opposed to the D League or G League development environment. Right? And there is a difference, right? There is a difference. Right? It's like going to school and learning the lesson with all the resources and everything at school, and as opposed to being at home doing your homework. You learn in both places. You learn in both places. One place is probably set up structurally to give more resources. Right? This Knicks team is pretty deep, and I think eventually you'll see by the end of the year the finished product. The finished product, I think, at the end of the year is gonna be more appealing and promising to the eye than what the start of the season did. Now, can you do that and win a championship? I think winning the championship is the ultimate goal, and any development that sacrifices an ounce of championship run will be scrapped. Right? Because even though development is important, it's not as important as winning championships. So, and just keep that in mind. Like, there are young guys here that should get NBA minutes. They'll have to earn those NBA minutes through a legitimate apprenticeship type situation. Like Tyler Kolek is being apprenticed to be the backup point guard. Mo Diawara, Pakam Dadier are being apprenticed into that jumbo wing role that the Knicks desperately need. The Knicks desperately need that jumbo wing project to be successful. Either both or one, but it cannot under no circumstance be none. Right? The Knicks have to bear fruit from Mo Diawara and Pakam Dadier. They have to. They have to. One of the things, too, one of the things also that I struggle to decipher is this. And y'all help me with this. Y'all let me know in the chat what you think. Is Mike Brown pressing the correct buttons 100% of the time? Or is this team super talented? Is is Mike Brown pressing, and his coaching staff, when I say Mike Brown, I mean the coaching staff. When I say this, when I ask this, is Mike Brown pressing the in-game buttons correctly 100% of the time, or is this team so talented that any challenge it faces, it overcomes? It seems to me that Mike Brown is pressing all of, and his coaching staff, mind you, when I say Mike Brown, I mean the staff. Is Mike Brown pressing all of the correct buttons at the correct time? And I would absolutely say yes. Here's the thing, though. I do feel like the team is super talented, but the reason why I'm leaning more towards Mike Brown pressing all the right buttons is because even though the team itself, the roster, the list of players is exceptionally talented, for one, we have not seen a large sample size of a completely healthy roster. So we don't know for sure yet how good this team can be when it's fully healthy. We have not seen this roster fully healthy and fully engaged yet because of injury. So while I want to say it's the roster, for the moment, I have to say that it's Mike Brown and his coaching staff. Right? And while I'm not dismissing the roster, I'm not dismissing the roster at all. Right? I'm not dismissing that because I know the roster is super talented. I already said it 13 times. I don't think the roster is locked into their full potential yet because guys are out due to injury. This is a new Mike Brown system. You have a couple of new players. You're incorporating young players that have been here. There are guys mentoring young players. There are a lot of things going on. But in my mind, I'm thinking Mike Brown is pressing all the right buttons now. But come February, March, April, I think you'll see the meshing of both where it'll be even, where the coach presses the right buttons and the roster being healthy completely maximizes itself. I'll give an example. Give an example of things that go up and down during the season for whatever reason. I'll mention this, and mind you, this is not me bashing a player. This is me pointing out a thing that has occurred because of other factors outside of them, right? I'll give an example. Karl-Anthony Towns can have 40 points and 15 rebounds in one game, and then the next game, he'll get you 8 points and 18 rebounds or something. I don't know. Why did that occur? I don't have an answer for it. Because if he's good enough to get you 40 and 15 one night against a good team, how does his scoring disappear the next night against a good team? I don't have the answer to that. And I'm not saying that Cat is a bad player. What I'm saying is factors outline why Cat's production goes from one thing to another and back-to-back games. Josh Hart shooting threes. How does that disappear or fluctuate from game to game? Right? How does that fluctuate from game to game? Like, how does Josh Hart legitimately be super confident shooting the three, especially out of the corner? Especially out of the corner. Like, how does he be super confident in that three? Or I'm sorry, not out of the corner, but the pull up off the wing. Like, Josh Hart is super confident hunting that three off the wing, right? Almost like, you know, he wants to shoot it in your face type Josh off the wing. And then there are other nights where he doesn't hunt that three. And so there are things where things fluctuate and players are trying to figure this thing out. And then some guys are missing games and things of that sort. Just some things. I can't figure that out. Like, even when we're watching the game, we're asking, hey, listen, are we gonna get Grumpy Josh or Choir Boy Josh? And it fluctuates from game to game, not because Josh doesn't know what he's doing. I guess it's like outside factors. And as fans, I don't know if we know or understand it. But what I do know though is somehow, yo, Jay the Chosen One is in the building. Salute. What we do know though is somehow Mike Brown seems to be pressing the right buttons, and how we know is that the Knicks are 21-9. The Knicks are 21-9. Should they be 23-7? I don't know. Should they be 25-5? Man, I don't know. Right now, they're in a great spot, though. I know that. I know that. A couple of other things just on my mind, just want to talk about is this. The off-ball Jalen Brunson thing is a work in progress. My preference is seeing, I think the Knicks win a championship with Jalen Iverson, right? I think Jalen Iverson is the Jalen Brunson we need. We don't need Jalen Nash. We don't need Jalen Stockton because he's not that guy. Jalen Stockton is not a thing. Dribble. That can't be real life for the Knicks to win. That can't be real life for the Knicks to win. That's got to be a thing that's dribble. That can't be a thing that we live with, right? But Jalen Iverson in those Iverson moments in full attack mode, we can absolutely live with. Well, I think the Knicks will thrive in that. And this, here's the thing I'm getting at, everybody. We can't have one NBA player dominating the ball for 15, 16 seconds out of a shot clock and then expect everyone else to be prepared to shoot with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. It's just what it is. We can't have Yo, come on, man. Pass the ball. Come on. Either you beat him or you didn't. Either you beat him or you didn't. Right? Either you beat him or you didn't. Ball movement. Move the ball. Right? And that ball gets back to you. That ball gets back to you, man. Then, hey, Jalen Iverson, go all in. Right? Jalen Iverson, go all in. Right? I don't mind Jalen Brunson taking 20, 22, 24 shots a game. I don't. I'd like for him to shoot more. I just would like other people to touch the ball also. Right? The Knicks have a lot of skilled offensive players. A lot of them. A lot of them, man. A lot of them. Right? A lot of Sherwin in the building coming in with stupidness off the rip. Sherwin, I researched this before I even said it. So before you come in with stupidness, research it first. Jalen Brunson has the second highest usage rate of his career right now. Those are facts. That's on basketballreference.com in case you want to know where I got that from. Salute, though. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Sherman coming straight in the door looking for attention. There's your attention, Sherman. You wanted some? You got it. Jalen Brunson, at this moment, has the second highest usage rate of his career. These are facts. These are facts. Now, these are facts. You don't see it, you don't see it. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, these are facts. This is research before I got here. And it's on basketballreference.com on Jalen Brunson's stat page, in case you need to see it. Just wanted to let you know, though. But getting back to my point, though, my point is this. I don't mind Jalen Brunson shooting. Y'all know that. I think I don't know. Somebody else may have said it, but I like the term. I reference it. I call it the Jalen Iverson effect. Let Jalen shoot as much as he wants. I don't care. It's like I don't care. But I think he is a good enough and even great shooter where if he gets catch and shoot opportunities, I think that only makes the Jalen Iverson thing more impactful. It's just my thought. But here's the thing. How can you have Jalen Brunson take more shots on less usage? Tyler Kolek. Another guard on the floor where Jalen Brunson can play off ball, save his legs, save him from being bumped, right? All the physicality he takes at point guard, right? All the physicality that Jalen Brunson takes at the point guard position, you take away some of that wear and tear and let Jalen Brunson come up the floor unaccosted, less physicality. Let Jalen Brunson get pin downs and things so Jalen Brunson can get the opportunity to be a spot-up shooter at times, play off ball. Direct traffic away from the ball. Right? Does that mean Jalen Brunson should split it 50-50? No. We're not talking about taking the ball completely out of Jalen Brunson's hands. That's ridiculous. Jalen Brunson is the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. He's proven it time after time. Jalen Brunson is the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. He's proven that, right? Until someone else does something different, Jalen Brunson is that guy. But you can decrease his on-ball usage by having another guard on the floor, let him play off-ball more, save his body for the postseason. And then you have a fresher Jalen Brunson down the stretch. I think we value killer Jalen down the stretch of games, clutch Jalen Iverson. I think we value that, right? I think we value that. But at the same time, a balanced NBA offense with a weapon in it is better than a weapon with no NBA offense. If Sherwin said, have you ever looked at definition of NBA usage rate? Hey Sherwin, are you asking me, do I know basketball? Chat, what do y'all think? Is Sherwin asking me if I know basketball? And that's the question. I just want to know. Is this like? Are you asking me if I know basketball? Is that what I'm being asked? Or am I being asked if I watch basketball games? Is that what I'm being asked? Because it might be two things. Is it either I'm asked, do I watch basketball, or do I understand how it's played? Do I watch it and not understand, or do I not understand or have a concept of basketball? Either way, either way. Maybe I don't. What I do know though is that Jalen Brunson's usage rate right now, in a year where the emphasis was put on keeping Jalen Brunson healthy, Jalen Brunson has the second highest usage rate of his career. And what the eyes tell us, for the eye test people, for the eye test folks, you can see Jalen Brunson holding onto the ball more. And it goes back to the point that we mentioned at the very beginning, that the front office and coaching staff know exactly what they would like for this team to be come June. One of the things I struggle with so I was driving home today, and one of the things I struggled with is, how do you guys feel about patience? How do you guys feel about patience? How do you guys? I'll do this. I'll do this, right? I'm going to use Nick Yak for an example, right? So back before Summer League started, Nick Yak was talking about the evolution and development of Tyler Kolek, right? Every day in the chat, Nick Yak is every day. Nick Yak was in the chat talking about Tyler Kolek. Before Summer League, before all this stuff, there's one person in the chat was talking about Tyler Kolek every day, nonstop, pounding the table every day. Tyler Kolek this, Tyler Kolek that, Tyler Kolek this, Tyler Kolek that. And basically, what this one person was saying is you got to be patient with this player. The skills are there. You got to give them time. There's one person every day. About 60 to 70 other people would be like, yo, you gotta put Tyler Kolek in a trade package, Tyler Kolek in a second round pick for such and such. Right? 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 This is the thing about patience, right? And this is not me bashing Nick Yak. This is saying people in the chat say things. I take those things in. A lot of times I don't rush to judgment on anything anybody says, right? Because we all legitimately add context to the conversation as the conversation evolves. As the conversation evolves, we learn from it that day, and it keeps evolving, and we learn more and more, and we enjoy more and more as this thing evolves, right? Like, we can't make definitive statements. Like, for those that make the definitive statements, they always get proven wrong. And then when you see their comments, you tend to ignore their comment because they say a certain thing and they leave out the fact that context matters. Right. And so, but the thing is with Nick Yak early on in the year, so it's probably been about 5 or 6 months of maybe more than that, maybe a year, maybe since last year, right? I don't know. I can't remember the exact time frame, right? I can't remember the exact time frame, but Nick Yak says this thing, listen, give them time, let them evolve, remember the development, remember the context, remember the situation. Remember, these kids didn't have a development coach. Remember, the previous coach, his emphasis was on a certain thing, right? His emphasis was on winning because the front office wanted him to win because he had been here 4 or 5 years already and they hadn't been to the finals. Right? Remember, there are circumstances, right? There's context to all these things, everything that we say. So my thing is, as a content creator, my thing is not to judge. My thing is to create a safe space for all of us to come in and have these conversations, right? To be interactive, right? Like a certain thing in the conversation, we're like, hey, you know what? Let's talk more about that. Like, let's talk less about such and such. Let's talk less about things out of our control and more about things in the future, like things we can't control. Right? It's the reason why I probably did less Giannis talk on this channel than those on other channels. It's because we can control, right? As fans, you can't really control anything but how you fan. But at the same time, we can watch Tyler Kolek play every night as a Knick. We can't watch Giannis play every night as a Knick. That's something we can't control. So the thing is, when I saw the thing with Kolek, I'm thinking do we talk about the development of these young players, or do we talk about the splashy clickbait topic of the day? Guaranteed viewers. Do I put Giannis in a Knicks jersey on the thumbnail? Do I put LeBron on a thumbnail in a Knicks jersey or something and just talk about some rumor that can't be substantiated? Or do we talk about how the Knicks were bringing in Malcolm Brogdon to be a bridge player to Tyler Kolek. Now Tyler Kolek is on the. I don't think he's ready. Ready. I think he's on the verge of being ready and being ready for a long time. That's what I think. I don't think Tyler Kolek is absolutely ready, and I could be proven wrong. But I think Tyler Kolek is on the verge of being super ready, but not being super ready and then go up and down. I mean, when he arrives, it means he has arrived and will be here. So do we talk about the possibilities at the trade deadline, speculation? Bodega Wi-Fi in the building, salute. But you as a fan, how comfortable are you with being patient as a fan? Are you willing to wait on Mo Diawara and Pakam Dadier? How comfortable are you with that? In my mind, my mind is telling me that the patience thing has nothing to do with a Knicks fan's ability to be patient or to wait. Right. And so I'm going to sound like Confucius for a moment, and I don't want to be Confucius. Right. I don't think Knicks fans have a lack of ability in waiting. I think Knicks fans have an impatience for satisfaction. Right. And so here's the satisfaction thing that I want to mention to everybody. I think Knicks fans that appear to be impatient are misdiagnosed as those that have a lack of satisfaction. Right. And I know that sounds like me scrambling eggs. I'm not scrambling eggs, right? Not this time. Right. I think if the Knicks had more success historically, I think the patience part would not be an issue. For example, if the Knicks make the NBA Finals this year and you see Tyler Kolek play towards his potential, the veteran guys play at their potential, right? If the veteran guys are going to play at their potential because they're good, they're talented. I'm talking about Josh, Mitch, OG Bridges, Brunson, Clarkson. All those guys are good. They're going to play at a level, right? But if the Knicks make the finals and you see slight contributions from Kolek, Diawara, Dadier, Hukporti, I think you'll see a level of satisfaction with Knicks fans. At the same time, while the job is not finished, because in the NBA, the job is never finished. The job is never finished. Because if you win the championship this year, guess what your fan base wants you to do next year? Win a championship. It's sports. And so as when I watch you guys and I see you guys on multiple stuff, right? And I'm not spying on y'all. It's just like when I be in somebody's chat, maybe I'm doing something, like maybe I'm writing or something or working on something work related, and I have somebody show up and I'll see y'all comments in somebody else's chat, like TV over here, I'm working over here, I'm looking and I'll see David Smith put something in somebody else's chat and I'll laugh or whatever, right? I don't think you guys have a lack of patience. It's just that at some point you have to satisfy the fan base with something. Now, here's the thing, and I know this is a tricky topic to speak about because I think some people say they don't care, and I think they do care. It's just they care more about something else, right? Tyler Kolek's performance in the Emirates Cup Finals. If the Knicks don't play that game, do you get to see Tyler Kolek's breakout? You don't. Not at that point in the season. Right? Not at that point in the season. Right? Without that Emirates Cup Finals, you don't get to see Tyler Kolek and that bad sock have a performance of a lifetime on the biggest stage he has ever been in, right? As an NBA player. Right? That's the biggest stage that he has ever been in an NBA player. And the smile on his face while he's going through his breakout moment only lets you know that just as bad as you want to see Tyler Kolek succeed, Tyler Kolek wants that also. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about the patience part. There is a level of satisfaction there, not because Emirates Cup is the end all be all. It's not. It's an in-season tournament, and the competitive nature drives you to want to win. And Tyler Kolek showed up in that moment. Tyler Kolek showed up in that moment, right? Right. Here's the thing also. Here's the thing also with the satisfaction part and the impatience part, because I know you guys are, I think we're misdiagnosed as being impatient. Again, it's me speaking to the satisfaction part that goes along with achievement. Like you can develop and bring in as much talent as you can, but if you never achieve anything, the hole of satisfaction grows. So then it appears that you're less patient, but you actually want something that you never get. And I can use the word never here in this case because as a fan base, the fan base is probably, I think the fan base is overall is like 45 years old, like average age is like 45. So there are some really young people, and then there are some guys like me that are a little bit older. A little bit older, right? And so even on both sides of that, whatever age range you are, whether you're, still in high school or you're retired, or whatever it is, whatever age you get to, right? There is like this gap of not being satisfied. Like there is since 85, since what's a good stretch? Since 1980, there has only been 2 NBA finals. That's a long time. That's a long time. And so that hole of satisfaction has us thinking like we have a rich owner that wants to spend money in a great city, the greatest city in the world, really passionate fans, but we don't get the chip. In that stretch, we haven't won a chip. And so the lack of satisfaction looks like a fan base that's not patient. The thing is, though, I think the fan base is patient because we were patient with Leon Rose and still is. We've been patient with Tom Thibodeau and was for 5 years, right? Mike Brown, we're seen to be patient with Mike Brown. We're patient with Tyler Kolek now, right? Still Knicks fans is in the building. Salute. And so there's this thing, I guess, from the mainstream media that Knicks fans are crazy, wild, over the top, mad, impatient, such and such. And the thing is this is a starving fan base that is really passionate and needs to somehow reap the rewards of being passionate fans. And those, while they sound similar, they are completely 100% opposite. Right? Because a super impatient fan base would be impatient even if they had won championships. Right? If you're impatient if you're impatient as a fan base, even if the Knicks had won championships or not, that would not be enough. Give you an example of an impatient, crazy fan base. Boston. The Lakers. Crazy, impatient fan bases that think it's their birthright to be the NBA champs. Jason Tatum goes down for the year, right? Jason Tatum is in a rush to get back in a year that most people know Boston's not going to compete for a championship. So why rush? Why? Tatum goes down, the Celtics trade away assets and things, and blah, blah, blah. Yet the rush is for Tatum to come back so that they can make a run. Now, that is what you call impatient, right? That's an impatient fan base. The Knicks fan base has a lack of satisfaction because there are no mile markers or achievement in order for us to point to at least say, well, you know what? That is where we were last year. That's where we were a couple of years ago. Right now, the Knicks point at Knicks tape. Right? Knicks fans still talk about Linsanity. And those were great moments. Right? Those are great moments. But they shouldn't be a real life indicator or mile marker about where a passionate fan base has been. And I respect Jeremy Lin and the achievement. And I appreciate the Knicks tape yet. I appreciate Rasheed Wallace coming out of retirement before he broke his foot. Right? I appreciate Baron Davis, Mike Bibby, Jason Kidd, Carmelo, J. I appreciate every guy in from that era. Mandaugas Kuzminskis, right? I appreciate him. I appreciate Pablo Prigioni, right? But what I would appreciate more is a title that said 2014 NBA champs or 2012 NBA champs. I would appreciate that more. But at the same time, I do know as a patient person in general that things are going to have ups and downs, and that's why championships are special. That's why championships are special. That's why the Eastern Conference thing last year was special, even though we didn't win. But that can't be an achievement. There's got to be a level of satisfaction. And so that's why when I hear you guys' statements, I understand, right? I understand that, listen, we got to get something. Like, we have to put something in the ceiling. And so that's my view on you guys as a content creator. Like my thing is to create conversations, drive conversations to so that you guys can get out of your bag, right? So you guys can get in your bag and then get out of your bag, like legit. What are we going to talk about today? Like, it's a lot of smart people in the chat, and content creators don't have all the ideas and all that stuff. But when you drive conversation, who knows where the conversation goes, right? Who knows? So that I just had that on my mind. Who was that in the chat? Is that Paris Duggar? So Paris Duggar is in the building. He says Kolick does more in making others better is why he's more valuable now than Deuce even. Oh, bro. Hey, the Knicks at Night podcast is gonna be crazy. And Paris Duggar, stop trying to give away the content, bro. Knicks at Night podcast is gonna be crazy. Yo. The Knicks at Night. And listen, if you don't want to fight, I would suggest not being there. Right? If you don't want to fight, I would suggest. Yeah. The Knicks at Night podcast is going to be crazy. I do think there is going to be a Kolick Hive versus Deuce Hive thing. And this is not about the players, right? This is about preference, right? I'm not bashing Deuce. Y'all know I love Deuce, right? Cowboy Bob, I think that's Cowboy Bob's favorite player, right? So it's not that, right? But Tyler Kolick has arrived. On that note, y'all, thank you everybody for coming through. Just want to get some thoughts off and everything, man. I'll see y'all the Knicks at Night podcast around 11 p.m. or so, something in there, something like that. I'm still tinkering with some things. So thank y'all for coming through and hanging out. Peace, everybody.